It's a new face in the community.
Yeah.
Okay?
La gringa.
La gringa.
La gringa.
La gringa, claro.
La Gringa. She's also known as Eileen Higgins, a mild-mannered community activist. Higgins has found herself on the verge of upsetting the established order of Miami politics. A white woman running in a special election for a critical county commission seat historically wouldn't stand a chance in this district, but this is the new politics of Miami, and things do feel different this time. Higgins is a progressive Democrat, and she's running like it. Long dominated in local elections, Democrats in South Florida think they have found a way to finally win in these type of low turnout races. So what's the plan? Politicize the race and drive out an energized Democratic base to bring their candidates over the top. Higgins will be the latest test of this theory that started with the 2014 commission election of Daniela Levine Cava. If the Democratic gamble works, it could dramatically change the way elections are won in this city for years to come. So can La Gringa beat a political dynasty and the GOP machine in this heavily Cuban district? If she does, we could be in a new era. Born in Ohio and raised in New Mexico, Higgins first moved to South Florida around 2006. A work transfer moved her to D.C., but she returned to Miami 4 years ago. She didn't like what she found when she came back, so she started showing up to county commission meetings to learn about the issues.
It was interesting being away for that short period of time. Whenever I lived anywhere else, as time progressed, quality of life got better in the cities I was living in, and it didn't seem like that was happening here. And so every now and then I would show up and I would ask for some things that mattered to me. And I started going more often, and then I started learning more things.
Since her return, Higgins has become a leading activist and advocate for progressive issues like increased gun control and more access to affordable housing. After the long-serving District 5 Commissioner Bruno Barrerio stepped down earlier in the spring to run for Congress, Higgins jumped at the chance to step up. So did Bruno's wife, Zoraida. After a surprising primary election that saw Higgins place first, the two women are squaring off again in a June 19th runoff. So why should we care about this? Well, if Higgins can win, Democrats would have a clean majority on the commission, and that could lead to some serious policy change in the largest county in Florida. But Higgins faces serious headwinds in her attempt to win the seat. The district is nearly 63% Hispanic, and the majority of that group are Cuban, the only Hispanic cohort that consistently votes for the GOP. Higgins is white, but does speak pretty good Spanish. But just as importantly, she also speaks the partisan language of the district. Nearly 63% of it voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. Higgins clearly wants to replicate the success found by that fellow Gringa. The local Democratic Party has come to her aid in a big way.
I have voters, I cannot tell you, I have voters from all over. Way far on the left, way far on the right. They're interested in clean government. I mean, that's it. And so they're coming together around that. There is nothing progressive about being stuck in traffic and trying to fix that problem. So for me, I always say the word progress is stuck in the middle of the word progressive, and if that makes me a progressive, I will own it. We're not making progress. I've lived here a while. We haven't made progress on transit and traffic and housing. So I'm happy to be a progressive if that means we make a little progress.
Higgins has also tried to downplay the obvious racial aspects of the race, despite her newly earned La Gringa nickname.
People were worried about that, but I kept saying the problems we have here, they don't have a culture, they don't have a language, they don't have a neighborhood. We share them, and that was evident in the first round. I received more votes than anyone else, and when we dig a little deeper into the numbers, almost 3/4 of the people who voted for me were Hispanic.
Wow.
So, we wanted to run a campaign that felt inclusive, practical, and about solving problems, right? That was it. That's the message. It's the same message. You can go to every event I'm at. It does not change by neighborhood or by whom I'm with. The message is we need to fix a few things faster, and we need to make sure that all of our tax dollars are used in a transparent manner without sort of this tangled web of special interest that goes on.
The thing about Eileen Higgins is that if you look at her, you wouldn't think that she speaks Spanish, but she speaks very good Spanish. And I've heard many Spanish-speaking folks be very impressed by that. You usually get points if you try to speak Spanish, if you try to understand what people are saying, but even better if you can effectively communicate. So that should not be the deciding factor in any election. But when you're talking about a district that has more than 60% of its residents are of Hispanic origin, you need someone who can communicate in Spanish. And this has been a problem with Democrats. They haven't had a good Hispanic Democrat running in some of these districts. So now you have a gringa, but one who can operate in the Hispanic world with her Spanish.
Higgins' opponent, Zoraida Barrerio, has also run a partisan race. She was born in Cuba, so Spanish is her native language. Local Republicans have responded to the Democrats by activating their voters for Barrerio. And some experts think that Barrerio has a really good chance at keeping the seat in the family.
For Higgins, this isn't a shoo-in because Democrats are still only recently gaining strength down ballot. Republicans still maintain, plenty of more democratically aligned seats that vote for maybe Clinton or Patrick Murphy or, Charlie Crist at the top of the ticket, but the Republicans still do well for these races down ballot for city council, county commission, state house. So we're in a period where Democrats are starting to make gains at the local level, but they're not completely there yet. In addition to that, the fact that the race is nonpartisan definitely hurts Higgins because you don't actually have the D or the R next to the name. So that's why it's still very much a toss-up seat.
The votes are there for Eileen Higgins if people vote for her because she's a Democrat or because she aligns with progressive ideas to win in this race. The issue will be, will Democrats and liberals turn out in a special election in the summer of 2018, the same way they did in a presidential election in 2016 with Hillary Clinton on the ballot.
Higgins does have a lot of believers.
Look, as a Cuban American, I am sick and tired of being played by Republican politicians. The fact that they play on our trauma is absolutely cynical and disgusting to me, and it has been for a while, which is why I became such a Democrat. It's not that the Democrats don't play up to the Cuban Americans, but they're honest with them, whereas Republicans aren't. One thing that really bothered me, particularly in this one, was a friend that's been in politics in this area for years is like, oh, well, the old Cubans, they'll vote for anybody that's a Republican. You just have to throw a pastelito in their face and drive to the polling station. And I thought that was so incredibly disrespectful.
And not to be partisan, I don't care if someone's a Democrat or Republican, but it is mostly Republicans that are tied into the Rubio machine and the whole Republican machine, and they just don't care. They don't act on these issues. They're literally complacent, and they just don't care. And they support Trump on divisive immigration issues, and I'm just like, we gotta kick all of them out. We need like a serious movement to kick all these people out, just put in new leadership. And Eileen stepped up to the plate.
It's a big burden, right? People are putting their confidence in me, and it's a big responsibility. So it's overwhelming to think about it, and I have to be cautious and a careful decision maker and do the right thing for them. So yeah, it's a big deal.